Hello, 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 hello. All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you. Jeez, lots of pre even getting on here stuff going on. Uh, Different spot today, so theme song. Not as exciting just to play on the phone. I got to tell you, as it would normally be. So apologies to everyone on that, but we can always try it. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, look at that. Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. I see lots of familiar. Well, I can't say faces because I may not have ever seen some of your faces, but boy, some of the names look somewhat familiar. So let's see what's going on and check everything everything out here. All right, so we will go with Mario. Hello from Lebanon. Hi, Mario. Can you please explain what does sit with anxiety really mean? Is it literally doing nothing, waiting for the anxiety to lower, or should we continue doing our tasks normally? Doing that doesn't fall under distraction, which is not really recommended in ERP, as I understand. Thank you for clarifying, and thanks for weekly lives. Okay, Mario, thank you so much for this question. I love this question. That's why I've tried to change it to live with anxiety instead of sit with anxiety because people were starting to take the idea of sit literally, like you should just sit down, wait for everything to pass, then go on and live your life. So I want you to live with anxiety and discomfort and uncertainty and doubt, as everybody does. I'm in the No CD headquarters today, hence a different background behind me. And I can look out the window and see all sorts of people walking around in downtown Chicago, and all of them have to live with some uncertainty. Maybe a car will go out of control and go up on the curb. None of the people walking around have a guarantee that that won't happen. They are living with that uncertainty. And that's what I want people to do. And Mario, you're absolutely right. Going and doing things while you're uncomfortable isn't distraction. It's learning how to do things while you're uncomfortable. Distraction would be I'm going to go and do something that I find uncomfortable. And while doing so, I'm going to only do it if I have my good luck charm with me, or if I have a big jug of water with me, so that in case I have a panic attack and my throat dries up, I can drink the water or something like that. Those would be things that you would bring along with you that are safety behaviors. So we want everyone to live the life that they want to live, not the life that OCD wants them to live, because living the life that OCD wants you to live is not the life that you want to live. You want to be able to go out and do things and function and survive and know that you can handle all of that kind of stuff, right? And you want to do it and learn that you can handle being uncomfortable. And in doing so, you're going to do things that OCD tells you not to do. And when you're doing the things that OCD tells you not to do, you're directly going against what OCD wants. The good thing about that is not distraction. That is allowing yourself to learn, hmm, OCD is a liar. OCD told me I couldn't do this, and I went and did this, right? And I can go do things that I need to do without all the safety things that OCD tells me that I must have as well. So, Mario, I hope that really helps you there. But absolutely, live with anxiety, live with doubt, live with uncertainty. Learn that you can handle that. You don't have to have a 100% guarantee about absolutely anything whatsoever because nobody does. And going out and doing things while you're anxious and uncomfortable isn't distraction. It's learning that you can live your life even though you don't have all the comfort that your OCD would necessarily want you to have in that situation. Christina says, I need help. I was not pulling hair for the last few years, but now in the last 2 months, you've been pulling your hair out again. You don't know how to stop and can't afford therapy. Any tips? Well, there are payment plans in various places, and NoCD even has those as well too. Uh, by the way, that's a reminder that I'll do after this one. I'm in a different place. I'm all discombobulated today. But Christina, I would say if you went for 2 years without any hair pulling, you did something 2 years ago that led you to stop hair pulling, which means it's time to go back to doing those things again. It seems that maybe you've stopped them or that you put a pause on those or something of that nature. So, Christina, I want you to go back and start doing those things again that you did 2 years ago that led you to stop pulling your hair so that you can go back to not pulling your hair. That's very, very important for you at this point in time, Christina, is to do that, right? Because that's the thing that helped before. There's no doubt in my mind that those things could be helpful again. Unfortunately, sometimes we think, oh, those things helped, great, and then we put a pause on them and we think now I don't need those things anymore because I'm not doing that. When we might have to go back and revisit them and get a little booster shot of those things again. So that's where I would start. And I would also make sure that you're using the correct barriers that you need as well too. Remember, in hair pulling, recognition is always very important. So sometimes you put a glove on that hand where you pull, so that when your hand goes up, which you might not even be consciously aware of it happening, and you go to do the pulling, it's like it feels different, like, oh wait, recognition. Okay, oh yeah, I got to put my hand down. So that helps you to keep in mind when you're doing it and brings that into that conscious awareness so that you can start to work on doing something else with your hands, or just practice allowing your hand to be still in one spot without it pulling and picking and all of those things. A reminder to everyone, you're listening to the NoCD Wednesday night webinar. I am Dr. Patrick McGrath. I'm the Chief Clinical Officer at NoCD. Happy to have all of you here tonight. And reminder that NoCD is a downloadable app. You can get through Google Play or iOS. Check us out. And you can do teletherapy with us for OCD or body-focused repetitive behaviors like trichotillomania or excoriation. And we also work with hoarding and tics. And if you're looking for some teletherapy, in the United States and Canada and the UK and Australia, we got you covered. And we take more and more insurances all the time here in the US as well too. So please feel free to give us a check. Lida says old mistakes from your past, like 20 or 30 years ago, are on your mind, things you're not proud about and can't really change. Your OCD is making you confess to people. You don't want to dig in my past. Help. Well, Lida, OCD must believe that somehow this is important and that maybe somebody will finally give you the correct forgiveness and tell you that everything is fine or okay. Of course, that will never happen. You will never get a satisfactory answer that OCD will say, oh, yes, excellent, thank you. You've now been forgiven enough. You've now confessed to enough people. That will never occur. As long as there's people alive on earth who haven't heard your bad thing, your sin, whatever you might hold it as, you will probably have to tell them to get their opinion. And of course, you would want every opinion of people to say, oh, don't worry about it. But as long as one person says, ooh, man, I don't know, there's a good reason to punish yourself, because OCD would love you to punish yourself. I haven't I haven't met an OCD that doesn't love a good punishment of self ever before. It's a big, big fan of that. Why? Because it drives compulsions. And what does OCD want for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? It wants compulsions. So by the very fact that OCD can get you to do some compulsion like this, and it leads you to you know to be uncomfortable and to beat you up, that's exactly what it's going to try to do, right? We haven't ever heard the opposite. No OCD has ever soothed people and made people feel wonderful and great, right? We don't hear that from folks. That's just not the way that it goes. So keep that in mind, that you are definitely not going to get anything good out of doing what OCD wants you to do, right? And You maybe did some things in your past that you can't change, that you're not proud of. But I would ask, is there any of us in the world who don't have a few things in our past that we wouldn't change and that we aren't proud of? And the answer is, I would bet every single person listening tonight has done some things in their past that they're not very proud of and they wish that they could change. So, should all of us just spend the next 3 months confessing to everybody that we know? Someone could get one of those airplanes and fly a banner in the sky. Hi, my name is Jim, and here's what I've done. Please forgive me. Another person could buy a banner on a highway that said, "Hi, this is Francine, and here's all the bad things I've ever done. Please text me at this number and forgive me." And here's just pick every name and every possible way of advertising this, the marquee on some theater, or the billboards, the electronic billboards down at Times Square, whatever it might be, that all of us just confess everything that we've ever done in our past that we're not proud of. And then we could just do a all world confession day, and then an all world forgiveness day, and then everybody would feel great, right? Oh no, nobody would, because it's OCD, and you would never actually still feel good enough out of the whole experience, and you'd have to do it again and again and again, because it just wouldn't quite be enough, no matter what. Hey, our friend is here. Hold on one moment, everyone. There she is.
Hello.
Maja,
Hello.
how are ya?
Hi, nice to see you. It's actually 2 a.m. in Poland, so it's very nice.
Sorry if we woke you up there or anything, but welcome, welcome. Always good to have our guests here. Hey, do you want to tell everybody about yourself and what you're doing here tonight? That'd be
Yes,
great.
sure. First, I will tell about who I am, like besides OCD. I
Yeah.
am a journalist and also an author, writer, and activist. I support women after rapes and generally people in need. So this is the thing that I am doing. I wrote some books about rape culture and rapes in Poland, also about hate. And right now, actually, in a few hours, I will be at school because I have some classes there from hate, but also I share my story there, how important it is to have a support, and that support is for everyone, and you can use it anytime. So also I am sharing my story and my experience of recovering from symptoms of OCD to the children, to just show them that there's always an option.
Awesome. Well, we love good advocacy, and we love getting the message out to people all over the world about OCD and what it is and how recovery can work. So, um, what do you want people to know about you in terms of OCD?
Well, I think that I had an OCD from the moment that I was born, because always I had some troubles with perfectionism and with decisions. And when I look at it, my past now, I just see that it was OCD, but at that time nobody thought that actually the symptoms that can be considered as OCD, it was things that I was like they were considered as good. Like I had good notes, and I was the best at school, and
Hmm.
always
Hmm.
I won everything. I was a gymnast, so I had a very good good results in that. And my parents were so proud of me that I was able to learn all the time and to be so perfect. And that I also, when I made some mistake, I used to just to just put to the trash the, I don't know, notebook or something, and
Hmm.
start from
Hmm.
the beginning. And they were looking at that, and they told their friends that, oh, she's so perfectionist and she's so perfect and this is so good. So I always thought that this is something good in me, and the emotions that I had all the time, I felt the like this tension here. I thought that everyone feels that, and that this is just normal, this is just life, this is how you should feel. So I didn't even know that I had a problem, and that all these emotions that were in me and that were suppressed, that it is not something good. And I had my major crisis when I was 19, and I didn't live in my city when I was born anymore with my family, and I had so big troubles with everyday things. Like I still had the best notes and like scholarships and everything, but I couldn't buy a shampoo when it wasn't this shampoo that I needed to have. And I used to just look for one shampoo or any other product. For instance, it was all day just looking for this exact product, or I tend to touch things, and I just thought like it was this thinking, this OCD thinking, if I will not touch it again, something bad happens. So obviously I touched it, and it was all this like very spiral of suffering. And yeah, and I had this major crisis, and when I finished my year of studies, I went like instantly and directly to the psychiatrist, because I had the moment when I didn't wake up at the hour that I wanted to wake up to go back to my place, to my hometown. And because I didn't wake up at this time, I told my mom that I will never go back again, and that it is not possible anymore for me to go back again, because again I did something not perfect, and that I am useless and everything is so bad. So it was this very, very difficult crisis, and I went to psychiatrist. I got some pills. I don't know about pills because actually it was 13 or 14 years ago, and I had these pills every few years for like 1 year, 2 years, something like that. But it actually didn't help me a lot. I was more, maybe I was more like I didn't feel so many things. But the real thing that helped me, it was psychotherapy, and also the psychiatrist, she told me to go to psychoanalysis. So I I had a lot of analysis in my life before,
Yeah.
so I knew a lot about my life after this type of
Yeah.
psychotherapy. But actually, for me, it was more like rumination than
Yeah.
help.
Didn't help the OCD or anything, did it? No.
It was like, and my mom, like, I was going back from this psychotherapy, and I really, really believed my psychiatrist. And I told my mom, oh, and I learned about myself like this, but maybe. And my mom was like, yes, but what about your symptoms? Like,
Yeah.
what we can do with that? Like, why it's still all the same, or even worse and worse? Like, what? And I told her, like, trust the process. But I trusted the process 13 years, and well, actually, this process didn't really help me. And then when I really had like, it was 4 months ago, really, really bad moment in my life because of all the hate. I am a public figure, so I have a lot of hate, and like, I thought that everyone hates me. It's not true, but you
Yeah.
know,
Sure.
this is like everything or nothing. Like
Sure.
everyone loves
All or
me, or
nothing. Yep.
yeah. So I really felt that, and I had this moment when I couldn't even go out at all. It was once before people were writing to me that they will kill me or something like that. But the second thing, it was just I wasn't able even to make a dinner or anything. I had troubles with everything, because every product or anything I touched, I needed to touch again and again and again and again, and it was this cycle. I just couldn't function normally. And I in Poland, I couldn't find a good type of psychotherapy, because I had this psychoanalysis before, and my psychiatrist, she told me that this would be good. So I couldn't find that, and then I looked at NoCD. And I just thought, okay, I will try that. Like, what worse can be? Like, I cannot even go out of the bed, so maybe I will. And I started this exposure therapy, and it was 3 months ago, and right now I normally function. Like it never happened before to me that it was so fast. It was very unpleasant, but also it was more pleasant than compulsions and then the cycle and the suffering all the time. So so yeah, during this 3 months with my psychotherapist, I did everything from the roots. Like I needed to make my steps because I really had troubles with taking a step. Like when I made one step, I needed to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and sometimes it was hours. So then I was afraid that it will happen again, so I didn't even try to do any steps. So I didn't walk at all. So we started from steps. Then it was going out of my room, then it was going out of my block, then we were together in the shopping center full of people, and it was also very scary to me because some people recognize me, and sometimes it's strange that I am on psychotherapy with my psychotherapist, like, and they're like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
what you're doing here. So but I didn't feel shame anymore because I knew that it is normal. And also I went to support groups every day, at least one a day, and it was 2 months just on my recovery, and it really helped, and I just discovered that I am not alone, and this is not only about me, and I am not worse or anything. I just started to understand how it works, but also how other people react and how they can manage that. So it was really, really helpful. And actually, this support group, I was the only one not from native country like USA or Great Britain. So sometimes I had some troubles with understanding, and it was also very funny because I'm perfectionist, and I was like, I didn't understand, I did something wrong, but then I was just laughing because it happens, like mistakes happens. So it was really amazing, and actually I love these people, and we have contact, and we talk to each other, and we also see the progress of each other, but sometimes we see also the regression because it happens. But it's good that we are together in that, and that I know that I always can have this support meeting, because it's like in Polish times it's only very night or just evening. But anyway, it's important to know that any day I will have worst day, I have this place to go and to people to talk to.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your story. We really appreciate it very much. And, one of the things that we like to do here is just go through the feed, and I read off questions and I give an answer. But it's always nice to have somebody who has OCD give a response as well, and to see if this sounds like something that might have happened in your life as well too.
Sure.
So, um, Riley says, how would you best suggest not falling for the OCD thoughts? Meaning, if there's a new unexpected thought, I often fall for it and do a compulsion, and then that compulsion isn't good enough for OCD. Riley, if one of the things I would suggest is if OCD keeps using the same trick all the time and you get fooled by the same trick, I want you to kind of recognize where you're getting fooled, right? OCD loves to present things to people as if it's brand new. You've never experienced this before. You've never had this happen before. But Maha, I think that you would agree that there's really nothing new in OCD. It's just the same thing, but maybe in a new robe or a piece of clothing or something like that. But it's all that doubt and uncertainty and everything like that. So maybe, Riley, instead of being surprised by it when you start to feel down the road that you want to do a compulsion, I would just suggest this is the point to say, I'm choosing not to do a compulsion with this and see what happens, and allowing for that to occur. But how about for you? What would you say in that situation?
Well, I have actually I have a lot of tools because we share that in our support groups, and my favorite one is to treat OCD as a hater. I mean, to ignore it. This is because this is the best thing to do with hater, just not to give him or her an attention, because this is what he or she wants. And when I had this like problematic moments, my psychotherapist, she told me, it is like just it is like a baby who needs your attention. Don't give it to, like, maybe you should give attention to baby. Okay, it is just a hater. Don't
Yeah,
make babies. Not,
but yeah, pay attention to children. But it's a troll, right? It's like you
yes.
don't have to pay all the attention to it,
Also,
right?
sometimes I try to understand that as a reminder what is important to me. And for instance, when this OCD tries to show me, oh, if you will not do this, like the important person in your life will die, I think, okay, thank you for reminding me that this person is important in my life, or like your work thing will be destroyed. I just say, okay, thank you, I like my work, this is important to me, thank you for reminding me that. And this is also because OCD is usually about things that we really care about, because in other case, like I wouldn't do compulsions if it would be about, I don't know, having running nose or anything like that, because it's not so important to me. But when it's about the life of my close people, or about my values, like, I don't know, feminism, human rights, it's very, very difficult not to care about that for me. So I usually say to this OCD, okay, thank you, this is important to me, thank you for reminding me that this
Mhm.
is my values, and I know my values, and this is it. Okay, thank you, I
Mhm.
will not make you chantage me.
Yes, I worked with. We had someone early on in the webinar who said that in the morning when she comes downstairs and she sees her dog and her OCD says, "You want to kill your dog," she says, "Oh wow, I must really love my dog because that would be the only reason why OCD is picking on it, because I actually care about it, and OCD loves to pick on the things that you really care about." So that's how she answers her OCD, and it works very well for her. Mhm. Let's see. Nushin says, "Hello. What are your thoughts on OCD coaches? They claim they can treat OCD." I don't know a lot about OCD coaches. I will say, I guess I can take a look into that. But I would say that if you're looking to treat OCD, you really want to trust a licensed professional who's out there and regulated and has done their continuing education credits and in those types of areas, and be sure that somebody. Uh, Really has had the proper training to do that. And I don't know what coaches go through, so I can't speak for them, but I can tell you at least what, say, someone here at NoCD would do, where the amount of training they go through and the consultations available and everything are very significant, and that's why, I would trust someone from here and who's licensed in those areas.
Well, yeah, this is also the thing that is more universal. That when people who wants to get money, they like to use people in need, and this is very like we need to really take care of that, because many coaches, they don't have like any preparing for helping people, and the best way is just to go to the person who has this preparing and has this, is psychotherapist or psychiatrist or any other person who just can help and have competention. I don't know if it is a word in English because it's
Hmm.
so, but the person who can help, and we know that it she or he can help.
Yeah. Lita asks what my opinion on repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation is. I'm on meds and ERP with OCD specialist, still struggling. Thank you. Yeah, I'm learning just recently a lot more about TMS, so I don't have an answer on that one at the moment, but that is something that I think when we get Dr. Fiesner in here, we'll have him talk about a little bit. Uh, Tricia says, do we all have OCD because of a physical difference or abnormality in the brain? Thank you. I don't know that either of those things. It's an all or nothing in one or the other of those. We know that there are genetic aspects to OCD, so that if a first degree relative has OCD, you have a higher chance of having OCD than you would if you were just in the general population. We know that if you're an identical twin of someone who has OCD, you have a higher chance of having it than any other genetic relative would have, and they have a higher chance of having it than anyone in the general population. So there may be genetic aspects to it. There could be the aspect of stressors that you experience in your life that can lead to the development of OCD. We know that OCD loves a stressor, and that can be one of the things that kickstarts it. So maybe there is a genetic predisposition that somebody has, and they need the right stressor to kick it off, and then it gets kicked off. We also know that for people who say experience some kind of a traumatic thing, OCD being the kind of opportunistic jerk of a disorder that it is, will say, "Ooh, you've had a bad thing happen. Well, I can prevent that from ever happening again. You do compulsions, and those things will never occur again. It'll be wonderful. You won't even have to worry about it anymore." So, um, there's a lot of study going on right now. There are people who claim that just by doing a brain scan, they can diagnose OCD. I know lots of other doctors and psychiatrists who will say that that's just funny and that there's no way to actually do that. So there's a great deal of debate around some of those areas right now. But if you really want to get a diagnosis of OCD, again, you're going to go to a trained, licensed professional who's going to be able to help you get that diagnosis and develop a treatment plan for you to help you with that.
Also, I think that the treatment can be different because for many years I had pills which didn't really help me. And when I went to psychotherapy, like this exposure one, it helped me. And right now I don't take pills anymore. I mean, I was treated and I felt better. And right now I don't take pills and I don't feel any negative impact of not taking the pills. So for me, the good way of treating the OCD was only psychotherapy. I didn't need the pharmacotherapy at that time. So it also, I don't know if it is related to source, but for me it was related to the consequences.
The thing is with any pharmacotherapy, who knows what's going on in different countries as well too. So there may be different things happening over there than there are here. I don't know, and I don't need to know what you are taking, but I would always say for anybody who is taking any medication, even if you are deciding to make changes on it, do it in conjunction with your prescriber. I never suggest people just change medications on their own, and do a taper schedule as well as the two. We never suggest just stopping something as well, because
Oh
that could
yes,
have
yes,
negative
yes.
side effects also. So,
When I dropped pills, obviously I did it with control of my
absolutely.
psychiatrist. I wouldn't do it in a different way because I also
Yeah.
know it is dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. Jay says, why do I doubt if I have OCD after being diagnosed? When I start feeling better, I then realize I am not obsessive and jump back into the cycle. You know, OCD is the doubting disorder. So why wouldn't you doubt that you have OCD even if you've been diagnosed with OCD? Because frankly, the doubting disorder doubts everything, even obsessive compulsive disorder, right? So you would automatically be doubting if you have OCD, or wondering if someone was right and did they get it right, and maybe you filled out the forms wrong and they made the diagnosis based on that, and maybe you should go back and check with them to see if they have all the information they really needed to make the right diagnosis, and blah 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 on and on and on, and something like that. um, we're not here, Jay, to try to convince you 100% that you have OCD, because when you have the doubting disorder, you can't be convinced of anything being 100%. So that would be a huge waste of time to even try that. Instead, Jay, what we want you to do is really start doing the therapy and recognize that, hey, when I actually do ERP, wow, it really does seem to help. And why would it help? Well, maybe over time you'll recognize, well, maybe it helped because I actually did have OCD and it targeted it and it helped me. So it also, let's see, Jay also asks, how do you not let sexual orientation, OCD, intrusive thoughts affect you and mess you up and doubt your relationship and yourself as well? It feels so real. You hate living with OCD and having these thoughts. I want to take that feels so real thing because I talk about this almost every week. Maha, how real did your OCD feel?
The realist in the world, like really, it is for me. It was even more physical than mental at some time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really something that is super real. And when I started psychotherapy, my doctor, she told me to just show the place in my body where I feel it, like when I feel the suffering and this pain. So it's really painful. But then when I focus on this feeling more than on this thing that is going on, like with obsessions, then it helped me, because I was focused on my body and the thing that is really real, not about the obsessions, which are unhealthy.
Yeah. Could anybody have convinced you by telling you it's not real, that it wasn't real, or no? Mhm.
No, it's not.
No.
It's like when I am anxious and someone says, yeah, don't be anxious. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Wait,
work. Like,
you mean that
okay,
doesn't help?
I will.
That doesn't stop you from being anxious when I tell you not to be anxious? Oh shoot. I
No,
got to
it's
change my whole therapy style now if that's okay. All right. Well, time to go back to school, I guess. Um, no, you're absolutely right. I tell people all the time, yes, OCD feels real, and the reason it feels real is because it has to feel real, because if it didn't feel real, you wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need help. You wouldn't need therapy. You would just feel like, okay, well, it's not real, so I'm not going to worry about it. Hey, I had this really uncomfortable thought, but it's not real, so I'm good, and I'm just going to go on with my day. No, that's not the way that it works. It's holy moly, I had this really uncomfortable thought. What if it's real? And it could very well be, and it probably is actually. And maybe I got to do something about it just in case, because if I don't, something bad or awful, horrible can happen, and it'll be my fault because I chose not to do something to neutralize it, and then that's all on me. Yeah. So, Jay, back to the other part of it. So you say, how do you not let it affect you and mess you up and doubt your relationship as you as well? Well, I wish I could say to you, just stop letting it affect you and messing up your relationship and doubting yourself as well. But the only way that I believe to truly get there isn't to try to convince you of that by talking to you. It's by doing the ERP exercises that you'll need to do in relationship to that in order to recognize, you know what? My life gets better when I stop doing compulsions instead of worse. OCD tells you a lie and says that if you don't do the compulsions, bad things are going to happen. But Maja, in the last 3 months, when you've stopped doing compulsions, did your life get worse or did it get better?
No, I was really afraid of that, because actually,
Mhm.
when you have these thoughts, I was so afraid that when I will, I don't know, make a step, in spite of the fact that in my head, I just feel that when I will do it, something bad happens to my close ones or to anything else. And I thought that the world will end. And at the beginning, it was super difficult. And actually, it was the time, like weeks, when I just felt all the time this unconscious feeling. But it was better unconscious feeling, like this, this bad feeling, than it is compulsions, because compulsions, it is so strong, and it is stronger and stronger and stronger. And here it was strong at the beginning when I made this step, and another one and another one after another, and feeling that I am destroying the life of the people who I love the most. But then I made the steps, made the steps, and it was better. And in comparisons, it's the opposite. It starts with, oh, maybe you will do this because, well, it's nothing, actually, it's just a step, so just do it. And I was like, yeah, when I have a life of someone and the step, obviously, like, I can just make the step, but then it's another and another, so it's worse and worse and worse. And here it was, okay, it starts super bad. It starts like, oh my god, I am killing everyone, and like the planet will stop working, and it's the worst. But then it's just better and better and better, so it's the opposite process. And but it's very uncomfortable, but it makes me really feel better. And also the authority of the psychiatrist, that psychotherapist that I worked with, it also helped to me, because authorities for me, people who has knowledge and who have everything, like who are the best in what they're doing. For me, I really can trust them. So when my psychotherapist, she told me, okay, do this step, I was like, no, I don't want to do it. But okay, I did it because I trusted her, that she
Mhm.
knows that she will not allow me to kill people. And I really trusted her in that.
Yeah.
So that's why I made it, because I don't think that I would do this at the beginning on my own, because this authority, this person who is close to me, and she cares and she knows and she will not allow bad things to happen. It really made me feel supported.
Fantastic. I'm happy to hear that. Can you talk about OCD and the theme fear of schizophrenia and how to deal with it? One of the things that OCD grabs on is, what if you weren't to be in total control of your mind and the way you think and the way you experience things? And of course, OCD will scan what would be ways that I wouldn't be able to do that. And when it sees schizophrenia, it sees, oh my gosh, here's people who have delusions or hallucinations and experience issues with being in touch with reality and how they experience reality. And and OCD decides, well, that would be the worst case scenario in the world then if I were to experience something like that. Wouldn't that just be absolutely awful or horrible if I were to experience that? And so then it starts getting you to wonder, how could I know if I have schizophrenia, right? So now I have to do all these checks and scans of myself, and wondering about if you're thinking about things in the right way, and do you really believe that, and is that a real thing that you're experiencing, or is it just something that was made up, and are you making it up, or is it because maybe you're not in touch with reality anymore? And it becomes doubts about the experience that you have in your physical environment, and also the beliefs that you have about anything going on in your physical environment too. And of course, and Maja, I think you could agree with this, there's no way to convince somebody with OCD that what they're experiencing is just OCD, because to the person experiencing it, it feels very real. Maja, for all those years of people telling you that it was okay not to be perfect, did you believe them?
No, I mean,
No.
I repeated that to others because
Hmm.
to others it
Yeah.
is okay, but not
Yeah.
to me.
Right.
No,
Hmm.
no, no, no. I really didn't. Especially that in the childhood, it was okay to be perfect. I mean, it
Yes.
was good. I had the better grades. I was a
Hmm.
good child. My parents didn't have any troubles with me.
Right.
So yeah, so I learned that this is something that is expected from me. Yeah, so, but right now even I have this problem that I am still perfectionist and I still have
Hmm.
those feelings and thoughts, and I can say to anyone else that this is okay not to be perfect. It's you are valuable, you are amazing, but I sometimes it's so difficult to say that to myself and to believe
Yeah.
it myself.
Right. Um, I love to tell people who are perfectionistic, as one of the exercises that we do is that we do purposeful mistake practice, to go out and purposely make a mistake every day about something. And that could be something like going up to the deli counter at the meat market and saying, what is the difference between beef and chicken? Or you could pay with the wrong amount of money when you go to a store. You could ask somebody what time it is, and then 1 minute later ask them what time it is again. All sorts of things that you could do. You could be at a grocery store standing in front of the item you're looking for and ask someone if they know where that item is, and they're like, it's right there, actually. All those things, to teach yourself that you can handle those things, right? That you don't need to be afraid of that kind of stuff, and that's so very important. Mhm.
It's very good. I can make it. I can try that. But
Yeah.
sometimes when I make a mistake right now, I have those thoughts that okay, I made a mistake. Actually, it's kind of success for me because before that I didn't make any mistakes, and sometimes I didn't do anything because of that, because I was afraid of mistakes. So right
Hmm.
now I just live my life, and because of that I'm doing these mistakes, and that's actually good information for me. Okay,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
made a mistake.
Practice it. Just a reminder, everyone, you're listening to the No City webinar. No City brought to you through a downloadable app you can get on Google Play or iOS, and you can check us out at nocd.com as well. You can set up a free 15-minute call with us at nocd.com. We talked about that we do work with OCD and hoarding and BFRBs and ticks. And we also do one of my favorite things, a No CD 411 session. If you know somebody in your life who has OCD, or you think or suspects they do, but they're not quite ready for prime time therapy, well, then give us a call and we we could do a session with you to kind of fill you in on what OCD is and how to support someone with OCD, even if they're not ready for treatment, and talk to you about safety behaviors and the role of maintaining OCD as well too. And maybe how do you help to motivate somebody who has OCD to actually go and get the therapy or treatment that they need. So please feel free to reach out to us at nocd.com or download that app and hit that therapist button, and we'd be happy to chat with you.
It's also the support group for people who support people with OCD. My fiance went to this group also because he wanted to understand how to help me. And it really helped him because it really showed him that he's not alone in that. Because it was that time when I wasn't able to make a dinner to myself or make anything, a tea to myself. And it was really difficult to him at that time. So it really helped him.
Awesome. Adam says, does it matter what gender my therapist from NoCD is if I'm a male? Only if it matters to you. There are people who prefer a therapist of the same gender, and there are people who prefer a therapist of the opposite gender. Does it matter? No, it's a very personal preference, I would say. But that's just up to you.
That's funny because I chose my therapist because it is so stupid, but because she was blonde. It's not that I like blonde hairs. It was just I didn't have any other reason because all of them were amazing and they were like every of them made a very good videos that promoting themselves, and I was like, what thing can I be focused? And I was like, okay, I'm blonde, she's blonde. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Captain Cass says, "Hey, Dr. McGrath, how would potentially depression symptoms be classified with a diagnosis of OCD? What qualities make it a separate diagnosis versus part of OCD burnout, or just normal times of feeling down?" That's where, when we're doing our assessment with people, we would go through the diagnostic criteria, right? So you would have OCD, and then you would also assess to see if somebody meets criteria for like a major depressive disorder or maybe a persistent depressive disorder, which used to be called dysthymia. There could be cyclothymia, which is an up and down kind of experience, but not quite meeting the criteria for bipolar disorder, which used to be called manic depressive disorder as well too. So we really follow the diagnostic criteria of each of those areas. Now, there are many people with OCD who also will meet criteria for depression. And one of the reasons potentially is this. If you think about what is the definition of depression, it's feeling depressed, and or you have to have one of the first two in the lines of the criteria. The first one is feeling depressed, but the second one is a loss of interest or pleasure in things that you once enjoyed. Well, if you think about a loss of interest or pleasure in things you once enjoyed, what if OCD came into your life and now you stop doing things that you once enjoyed because you have obsessions and compulsions about those things, and those things now frighten and scare you, and therefore you don't do those things anymore? So you may feel better from an OCD stance about not doing them, but you might be depressed then because you're not doing them, because you're no longer getting that level of joy that you got out of those things in the past. So there's where you might see a link between obsessions and compulsions and depression as well too. Maja, did you feel that at all? Was there some depression that came along for you, or a mood issue that you felt while you were experiencing all of this?
Yeah, we are doing the tests for anxiety level, depression level every 2 or 3 weeks, as far as I remember. And at the beginning, I didn't have a diagnosis from psychiatrist of depression, but I had this level around 50%, as far as I remember. And when during this process, and when I don't have this trouble, like big major troubles anymore with OCD, I have 0% of depression, which is
nice.
Like really, really amazing. And actually, I also had, because it happens that OCD is with something, like together with something. And I had tics, for instance. I had eating disorders, and eating disorders I could treat the same way as OCD, which is doing the thing that is uncomfortable. But tics I couldn't. And it was the opposite thing. I had the tic, and I needed to just focus on something else, which is the opposite thing than doing this thing. And actually right now I have tics like 2% or something like that, which is also almost nothing. And skin picking, like all these things that I had before, right now it is on a very, very short level. And OCD is also, I don't remember exact number, but I had very high level, and right now I have this level that is normal. And anxiety, my psychotherapist, she told me that I am just like a normal person right now, and that's good. Like
Congratulations.
I
Mhm.
have some anxious moments, but
As
everyone
does
has them.
everybody, right? The
Yeah,
the
yeah.
goal is not to experience no anxiety. The goal is to not not be overwhelmed by the anxiety that you do experience, right?
Yeah, when it is not like making my life about anxiety, it's just normal, because for many years I didn't want to just feel anxiety, and it was one of the reason why I had this very big crisis, because I was just I just did everything not to think about anxiety, stress, about all those very difficult emotions, and because
Right.
of that it just was inside of me, and I didn't have any tools to do anything with that, so my body just told me in one moment, okay, you need to do something about that,
Yeah.
because we don't have a place here anymore. Just do something.
Hmm. Yeah. The one to blame says, Dr. McGrath, about to start OCD therapy next week. Awesome. Do you have any advice for those who do not typically prefer online therapy? Here's the thing that I'm fascinated about online therapy, and I didn't know that I would like about online therapy till I was really doing it. I spent almost all of my years in a hospital setting. So I was live with people all of the time. And then if I did private practice, it was in an office and people would come to my office. And let's say they were afraid of leaving their stove on. So we would go to my desk in the office and we would pretend it was the stove, and we would pretend the knobs on the desk were like the knobs on the stove. And I'd have them pretend to turn it on and then turn it off and walk away and do imaginal work with that. And I would hope they would go home and they would practice that. But now, via online therapy, I can say, hey, let's go to your stove. Let's turn it on. Let's turn it off. Now walk away. And now we're going to sit in the discomfort. So I didn't know what I was missing doing therapy live in an office with people until I was doing online therapy and realized I'm in so much more of their life in the moment experiences now doing this online than I ever was when I was doing it live in person with somebody in an office.
Yeah, actually, in an office, I had this. Well, it was a different surroundings, so I didn't have so many compulsions because I didn't have so many rituals related to the place where I live. And when I had this online, like my psychotherapist was with me in my bed when I had those compulsions, and in my
Mhm,
I don't know, in my
mhm.
bathroom, and like everywhere, because this is the place where I have those compulsions, and this is the place where I can work with that. So it wasn't just theoretical. I think that in other way it wouldn't be so good. Also, it wouldn't be, because I wouldn't be able to go to USA
Yeah,
every
right.
every week.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, but also it was so much better to me because I had this in office therapy, and it wasn't the same. It was just a different surrounding. Everything was different. So I also reacted different on things, and then I went back home and I was still in all those rituals.
How to manage ERP or health OCD after actually getting diagnosed with a rare pain disorder. So what I would say in that situation is you want to work with your OCD therapist and your pain doctor, and make sure they have a release of information to speak to each other and work and coordinate care between each other so that you can get the best care possible. Don't have one working against the other or not knowing about what the other one's doing, so that together an entire team of people can come up with a plan and make sure that they're all working together for your best interest in helping you to manage the pain that you're in. I mean, it sucks that people have to deal with pain, but you know, I know, and some of you know about my wife and all the pain that she went through before she died from the cancer that she had. And it was nice because we had hospice nurses and we had aides, and there was a therapist that got involved and helped out with some things as well too, just to help her learn how to best manage the pain that she was going through. And it was such a great experience to see this team come together to help with pain management types of issues. So that was really really nice. You're not alone in that. That's what I want you to say, right? Make sure you're not alone with that. Let's see. Brandon says he read an article published in Nature about metabolic irregularities contributing to mental illness and diets or what we eat significantly reducing symptoms. What are your thoughts on this? I'm always fascinated in seeing what we're discovering about the brain, body, mind, gut kind of connection and things. So I would say that I really support people doing more and more of this type of research. And if we come up with great suggestions for people, I hope that they get published and they get pushed by doctors who look at things from a physical side and a mental side so that all of us can do the things that might be the healthiest for us to make sure that we have great healthy diets and we have great exercise plans and we can do everything that's good for us both mentally and physically to be in the best shape that we can possibly be. Another question on OCD and depression, but we talked about that a little bit, so we'll skip that one. Let's see. North says, I feel like you don't have a grasp on this. My 14-year-old has a fear of becoming like other people. There are a few actual people who can trigger him, but he worked hard and can be around them with only slight anxiety. The intrusive thoughts still bug him so much, though. Other than explaining to him those people who he now basically is okay with, how do we do ERP? How do we help him when he's stuck? For example, he will still have thoughts of becoming like other people while walking through the door and have to wait until his thoughts are better. So there's a pause there. I understand. You know, sometimes you have to continue to experience the ERP for a while before everything really kicks in. And it's not about explaining something to someone, it's about continuously encouraging them to experience things and learn from the experience. It would be great if I could just explain to people why they don't need to believe the intrusive thoughts that they have. I would love it if that was what therapy was. And we didn't have to necessarily put people through ERP because, Maja, as you even said, ERP is not necessarily fun all the time, right? And it's not very comfortable.
No,
But
it's not at all.
Maja, how many years did people try to explain things to you, and did it actually change you?
Well, I was diagnosed 13 or 14 years ago. So all
Mhm.
this time I
Yeah.
heard, like, even my brother, when I needed to touch my doors before going out, and my brother was angry because we were late already because of OCD. I was late a lot, and he was and I needed to say bye to my room, and he was just say bye to your room and
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
together. So for
Mhm.
him it was just so, like, it's just so easy. Why you're not doing that? Just say bye
Yeah.
to your room. Yeah, but it's not, unfortunately it's not.
Yeah. I think we can all recognize that, OCD wants to stick around. It doesn't want to go. It takes effort to get it to go. But I think you're a great example tonight of talking to us about that. So I always like to leave the last couple of minutes to give you a little platform to say some encouraging words to people or anything, and then I'll take us out from there. So please go right ahead.
Well, I really wish everyone who is struggling, no matter in what exact way, to just have this process that I have after me, because it is so relieving that well, actually it is so scary sometimes, because all these years, I am 32 right now, and all my friends, they have families and they are on the different stage of life, and I didn't have that because of my OCD. And right now I am in this sometimes mood of just, I need to see all these years that I suffered, and I lost so many amazing moments because of OCD. But I also, thanks to the psychotherapy, I also got so many amazing moments. And I am so sure that right now I have tools to just do something about that. And I have a fiance, and I am on this stage of life that can be happy and I can feel happiness finally, not only obsessive, compulsive, like this scheme, but also happiness, also emotions. Sometimes I cry, but it's just normal, and I feel just so normal. And I just need to process the fact that all these years of suffering I have after me, but I have them after me, and it really can happen. And I am not alone. And it was also amazing during those support groups that we share so sometimes difficult stories, like around sex things, or hurting people who you love the most, or like postpartum OCD, which is like so scary that the person you love the most, you are just so scared of yourself. But when we talk about that, I just see that this is just the way of how we work at that time, and we can process that, and we can overcome that. And so many people overcame that, and I look at them and I am so proud of them, and I'm so proud of myself, because actually
Good.
it is a big work that I did, and I just yeah, it was very uncomfortable. And I have that after I am after that, all my family is so proud of myself, and not because I am perfect and I have all the best grades, but because I'm
Yeah.
healthy, and I made myself with the support healthy. So this is really the message that I want to send to everyone, that this is possible in your way, your time, your process, but yeah, you can be happy.
Awesome. Well, once again, everyone, thank you for joining us. This has been your weekly Wednesday night webinar with No CD. No CD, a downloadable app you can get through Google Play or iOS. Please check us out at nocd.com or download that app. And if you're looking for teletherapy, we got it. We do it for OCD and hoarding and BFRBs and tics. And we have our No CD 411 education sessions as well, too. Thank you for joining us tonight, Maja. We so very much appreciate it. And
Maya, finally
Maya,
I can see
Maya,
you. What is my
yeah,
name? Because it was
Maya.
Maja, Maja, Maja.
Hey, you know,
It's Maya.
here's the thing.
It's just Polish name.
I know so many people from Poland who pronounce it all three different ways. So,
Yes,
so,
I know.
yeah, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye.